Never thought I'd see the aurora borealis on Mars.
That's what you get when you make a magnetosphere.
The Expanse is a sci-fi show with mind-boggling visuals and a keen eye for detail. It is set 2 centuries into the future, but the most fascinating part is that the world of the Expanse could very well be our own future. With a 90% Rotten Tomato score, critics love it, and with a 96% audience score, fans love it even more. I mean, with the badass kicking Martian Bobby, who wouldn't? But what would it take to actually fine-tune Mars to our liking? What would it take to actually terraform Mars?
What are you talking about?
Those planets are habitable.
Mars is a pretty cold planet with no thick atmosphere, hence unable to trap in heat or protect itself from solar radiation. Due to the many contours on the Martian surface, many believe that Mars had once an ancient watery surface with rivers flowing and a much denser atmosphere. The hope is that this water and the atmosphere is all locked in the planet's crust and polar ice caps. For Mars to be habitable, we'll need to release CO2 into the atmosphere, as CO2, being a greenhouse gas, traps most of the heat from the sun. We know that there are large amounts of water and carbon dioxide inside the polar ice caps. What we could do is, well, what we do best. Global warming, but on Mars for, well, over a century. This is definitely going to take a while. To speed this up, our boy Elon suggests that we could put a ring around Mars that would reflect the sun rays that would normally miss the planet, thus concentrating them on the surface of Mars. And also nuking the poles. While the polar ice caps start to melt, you guessed it, liquid water begins to flow. But even if we were to melt all the poles and release its CO2 into the atmosphere, it would be 100 times less than what we have here on Earth. Barely possible to heat the planet enough. Sorry, Elon. The last source of CO2 is carbonate minerals in the crust. These carbonates will need to be mined and processed. Once we get the atmosphere to a decent amount, we can then use microbes to convert the CO2 into oxygen. The resources not found on Mars will be drawn from asteroids. With the amount of resources needed to even attempt such a project at this stage, it would be a huge no-no. But if you still want to live on Mars in the near future, there is another way. Why cover an entire road with leather when you can cover your feet? We could terraform, build something called a world house, cover vast lands with airtight bubbles all connected to each other. These would be able to contain plenty of Earth-like wilderness. NASA believes that they should get the first humans to the Red Planet by 2050. But to actually set up colonies and begin terraforming could take well over 2 or 3 centuries, which has been portrayed pretty accurately by The Expanse. Truly understanding that in reality, we are on but a pebble, and there's an entire river, valley, mountains to discover together as one species, can actually be, in a certain sense, really humbling. Stay indoors and stay safe. That's all I have to say for today. Go away now. Shh.